Do me a favor and picture yourself at the grocery store. You're in your favorite snack aisle, but as you make your way through, you notice all of your most favorite snacks are either out of stock or replaced with different versions that just don't seem to hit the spot the same way. But then you come across a new snack that catches your eye. At first glance, it doesn't appear to be anything special, and you even hesitate putting it in your cart, but since the rest of the aisle hasn't been providing you with too many great options, you figure why not give the new snack a shot. Then you get home, try it out, and realize, well damn, that was a fresh, unique, and enjoyable snack. Something different than any other snack that's come out lately, and I really wouldn't mind if the store started selling more snacks like that. Well, since you're probably craving a snack now and wondering what the hell I'm going on about, I'm referring to the MCU's Disney Plus special presentation, Werewolf by Night. In case you're like myself and saw the trailer but wasn't wowed much by it, I gotta say, I recommend checking this out. If you're someone who's recently been experiencing Marvel fatigue, I recommend checking this out. Even if you're not a fan of superheroes but just want to watch something well-fitting for the Halloween season, I recommend checking this out. It's straightforward and simplistic in its storytelling and accompanied by unexpected gruesome action, just enough bits of emotional dialogue, and even a sprinkle of humor here and there, all blended together wonderfully into a project that felt like it truly stood on its own. It could have easily existed in its own cinematic universe and still been just as effective, as it explores enough lore and story elements to allow it to have individuality amongst a plethora of projects that tend to feel like they've been manufactured on an assembly line at times. However, the fact that it does take place in the MCU only enhances the intrigue in this story's existence. It creates a lot of interesting questions that would be great to see dissected more in future projects down the line, whether they're direct sequels to this or not. Like, where's the Bloodstone in the present-day MCU? How much power outside of transforming monsters does it possess? Do other monsters still exist within the MCU? The best part, in my opinion, about all of these questions is that I'm able to ask them out of excited curiosity as opposed to confused frustration. It's a sign of a well-constructed story when it leaves you with questions that are out of desire to see and know more. And thankfully, I don't feel as though they didn't give us enough. A lot of the times, less is more, and Werewolf by Night is definitive proof of that. The entire special is short, sweet, simple, and to the point. The leader of a secret group of monster hunters has died, so to honor his passing and decide his successor, and new wielder of the magical Bloodstone, these hunters gather together for a competitive pursuit to find and kill a monster like none they've faced before. I did find it a bit ridiculous that during a super important hunt, which will determine the outcome of multiple important things, the lady in charge places the Bloodstone on the monster in advance, admitting it will weaken it. Sure, she throws in it will anger it too, but why the hell do anything to give the hunters the advantage? Isn't there any other way they can find to ignite some ferocity in their captured beast without having to compromise its strength? Or perhaps they knew from the beginning it was too powerful. Regardless, shortly after the hunt begins, we find out one of the hunters, Jack, isn't really a hunter at all, and is in fact there to save the monster, who turns out to be Man-Thing. And though I only know so much about Man-Thing overall, I still feel they absolutely nailed it here between the design, his interaction with other characters, and his power set. Joining along on the hunt is the daughter of the fallen leader, British Jessica Jones. Elsa Bloodstone. Seriously though, it's almost eerie how much she resembles Kristen Ritter here, and every now and again when she spoke, my brain would wonder why Jessica Jones has a British accent. Though we don't find out much about her here, they still manage to present Elsa as a solid example of a capable, witty, and resourceful character. One could argue she appears to come off as jaded for most of the story, but I'd say it was more of her choosing her words wisely and letting her actions do more of the talking. So after a little bit of action, Jack and Elsa set Man-Thing free and release him from the Bloodstone. But as Jack goes to touch it, it throws him into a fit of excruciating pain. Why, you wonder? Because Jack is actually the Werewolf by Night, and the Bloodstone hurts monsters. So he gets captured and they trap Elsa along with him so they can turn him into the werewolf and watch him kill her or some shit. I'm honestly not too sure what the intention was there. Was the point to let the werewolf kill Elsa and then use the Bloodstone to turn him back into Jack? Cause I'd understand that, but then why didn't they ever try to use the Bloodstone to turn him back into Jack before he broke out of the cage instead of multiple people trying to electrocute him into oblivion? Regardless, it's when he breaks out that we get the most savagery of action. The werewolf is absolutely brutal, ruthless, and ferocious in his movements and attacks. So many props to Marvel for not holding back here and showing the brutality the way it should be. And it's not just the werewolf that scores some viciously violent kills in this scene. Elsa once again showcases her agile fighting skills to mercilessly take down some of the other hunters. After all is said and done, the werewolf runs off, eventually turns back into Jack, and meets up with Man-Thing. Also, Elsa becomes the new owner of the Bloodstone. It's astonishing that a 55-minute special was able to give us more likable, charismatic, and compelling characters than some shows and movies have with hours of screen time to their advantage. Jack starts off as a quiet, composed, and mysterious enigma, yet from the very beginning there's also something so very genuine about him, aside from the fact that he's lying about killing monsters instead of being one. But it's providing depth in the sense that clearly these hunters on this mission to massacre these monsters may in fact be monsters themselves, and maybe these actual monsters aren't as horrifying as they're portrayed to be. And the more we discover about Jack, the more endearing he becomes. We aren't told the entirety of his past, but just enough to show some of the hardship he's experienced. Like when he knows he's about to be turned into the werewolf, he smells Elsa intensely as to try and remember her scent once he transforms. And when Elsa asks if that's ever worked before, you can see the pain he feels before he musters up the strength to say, once. And that's all there is. No further backstory, no monologue or flashback explaining the totality of his life, and it didn't need to. That single word uttered and the emotion behind it was enough to give the audience perspective that this man has been through some shit. Between him, Elsa, Man-Thing, and the array of side characters mixed in, the performances were well handled and made for an enjoyable watch. I loved the tone, the tense, uneasy horror setting it had mostly throughout, and Michael Giacchino proved that not only is he a competent director for this, but the man really knows his shit when producing the music for this stuff. I know he's done a whole bunch of things, but recently he nailed it for the Batman, and he nailed it again here. It has an epic, old-timey feel with a little twist of some modern flair. Now, even with all the compliments given here, I don't mean to speak as if it's a perfect project, but it's a breath of fresh air at this point in the MCU. It's proof that not every story needs to have a world-ending threat or the deepest of plots or explain every finite detail. Just give us an interesting story with some interesting characters, with maybe some well-written dialogue, a bit of intriguing lore and jaw-dropping action never hurt anybody. Just take the time to execute the simple things well. It'd be nice to see more of that again in the MCU. And apparently we might. Rumors are swirling that Marvel is considering taking some of their stories that were originally going to be Disney Plus shows and switch them to the special presentation format. And I'm down for that. Seems like a great way to tell an expansive amount of stories without feeling so much like overkill. But we shall see what the future holds for us. Alright, well, that's all for this one. Make sure to like this video and subscribe for a very special chance to put a big smile on this YouTuber's face. Not the best reason to, I know, but I'd really appreciate it, and so will my dog. Please don't disappoint my dog. Okay, bye.